to episode 7 of the J.O.B. podcast. I'm Dave Ford.
And I'm Steele.
Sorry for a little bit of a late start today, but hey, we're here. And got a lot to cover today. We got some subjects that we posted during the week, and they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But they're also very separate. And it's not really in order of how we're going to do them today, but they are the future of football, and man, are there different things to cover on that. And that is centered around the sudden retirement of Andrew Luck last week from the Indianapolis Colts, and then also the power of positive thinking. I'm thinking that probably you and I are going to spend more time on that. I haven't had a chance to watch your video yesterday. It looks great, and I'm excited to get to it. But I do want to say real quick, big props to North Bay Haven football last night for the inaugural win under Coach Andy Siegel, and congratulations to Cam Gant and Denzel Moore. And really great night. We're proud of those guys. Obviously, coached them very closely last year. So anytime a team locally wins, I think we feel like we win along with them.
Yes.
And briefly, obviously, we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to a couple of your players from Rutherford the other night. I heard that was serious.
Yeah, a couple players get hurt. I don't know if I should say their names, but I'm going to say number one, real bad ankle injury.
Dislocated ankle, right?
Yeah, dislocated ankle. He was back in the locker room when we got back on his crutches.
Good for him.
And he was like, I'll be back. I was like, dude, it's your senior year. But he had he had a positive attitude about it.
That's good.
He feels like in his mind he can fight and come back from that. Another one of our players, number 21, he took it was a great catch that he laid out for.
Mm-hmm.
His helmet kind of jacked into his head when he hit the ground, so it messed with his neck. So he left on an ambulance too, unfortunately. I think it's like a sprained neck, so I think he'll be out about 2 weeks. But you know, that's one of those things in football, you just cannot predict those injuries.
No, you can't.
And I definitely want to say shout out to those Bucks, Denzel, Cam. Cam can run. I heard Cam is still running. Four touchdowns.
I think we saw him out front.
Great job, Cam. Also, shout out to Mosley. Man, this kid, Najee Gray. Oh,
I'm hearing about
it.
I'm hearing about it.
Listen. Everybody has a gear that they're fast. He has another gear.
Does he?
He has and listen, from a little kid, you can tell with Najee how special he was going to be. And man, oh man, I can't wait to see him on the next level. He did some amazing things at Mosley last night. Josiah McCall with the sack. I kept hearing that over and over again. Listen, man, last night was amazing. Amazing atmosphere. Bayhigh came out and fought hard. Bayhigh is like a freshman quarterback.
Right.
Little kid got an arm, but also Jacquees. I don't think he was there when Jacquees was there. But Jacquees can catch everything.
I know who that is.
Played basketball for
yes.
him. Yes,
so I know who it is.
Listen, anything in the atmosphere, if it's in it around his hands, he's going to catch it. He went up and caught a beautiful pass last night. He played for Bayhigh. So it was great to see those kids, man. I'm just proud.
Awesome. Success stories are something that we like to hear about. And just to put it out there, we are going to get a digital fly out there pretty soon. And me and my man here have been talking about the one night only public speaking event that we're going to do. It's in the works.
Yeah.
So for those of you parents out there, we're talking to you right now. Please make sure whenever we get this flyer out there, make sure your kids are there. We're going to try to get as many kids at Bay County in that gym or arena as possible, because we have a very powerful message. It's just me and him with a mic on a stage, one night only, and I am jacked out of my mind about it. And hopefully we can come up with a date soon. So if anybody watching, listening can help us get to that and support us, please do. Contact us any way you can. I guarantee you won't regret it. It's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah, big time.
On the back end of what you were talking about with the injuries, I think we should probably go ahead and jump into it. Today is like the official coming out party of college football 2019 today. We had the warm up last week with they got the week off and they need it. Florida and Miami.
Hopefully we tackle him during the week off.
Man, I'll tell you what. Yeah, that was a great game. My man here sat here, watched it with us last week, and obviously I didn't have a dog in the fight, and I enjoyed watching you and Demi. You guys were just so stressed out about the Gators, and but you know, it was drama. It was great. It almost went exactly as we predicted.
Yes.
Except for the point differential at the end. I had the Gators winning by 10. You had them winning by 8, and they won by, what was it, 4?
Yeah.
Was it 4 or 6? I think it was 6. It was 6. That's right.
Yeah. Crazy game.
Anyhow, so let's jump into the future of football, and so because you and I were discussing last week, we saw on the bottom of the TV, Andrew Luck has decided to retire.
Yes.
I can tell you, my first thought was, wow, another one. You know, and so we've had 6 major players in less than 5 years. 4 of those guys were Pro Bowlers, deciding that at a very young age, I think the oldest one was 31.
Yes.
Deciding to walk away from the game of football. But maybe that is the thing, Ty. Maybe they do want to be able to walk away rather than be carried off the field. This opens up a Pandora's box of, you do have your people out there who coach the game, who played the game, who love watching the game. I can speak for myself that I wrote a column about this close to a decade ago, about having foresight of where is football going because of the violence, that we all love that. We love that it's a violent game. We love the fact that the hits are just big, and if you're down on the field, it's even different. I turned to Demi the other night and I said, you know, we were watching the Raiders and John Gruden, the Hard Knocks. And I said, you see how fast they're moving on film, right? She's like, yeah. I said, well, try being down there on the sideline. You wouldn't believe it. So when you've got guys who are running at each other roughly between 12 and 14 miles an hour at full speed, they weigh between 250 and 270, and their average height is about 6'3" to 6'5".
Wow.
You have a very dangerous recipe of destruction. And so you have a great quadrant of people out there who is getting louder saying, maybe football doesn't have very long. I disagree with them. What is your long-term take on football and the way we know it today?
I just think football is such a violent sport. It's such a, when you start playing football at what, probably 5, 6 years old. So you imagine when you're like 21, 22 years old, you've already played football for what?
15 years.
Yeah. So when you turn 29 like Andrew Luck was, you've already got 20 years in just wear and tear on your body.
Right.
A lot of these guys with concussions, you know, I think more of them are just turning to have a longevity. They're like, I'd rather spend time with my family, spend time with my kids, be able to walk, not rely on painkillers and all of those things to help me function. And then they see a lot of NFL players have committed suicide.
Yes.
Because the CTE, am I saying that right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so a lot of players in their latter lives have committed suicide, CTE. They went crazy. They've acted not like they normally acted. So
right.
I can understand the need. It's very rare to see a quarterback though. You look at quarterbacks.
That is rare.
Quarterbacks can play late into their.
Look at Tom Brady. He's almost 42. So I mean,
yeah. So with quarterbacks, it's different. That's why I think this was a unique case that made everybody look. Running backs, wear and tear on their body is horrendous.
Well, yeah, their average career span's 2 years.
Yeah, it seems like it's less than that. And just having those big time running backs, those are like a thing of the past. You got Zeke Elliott, you got a couple players, player flags for the Rams, having a brain fart right now.
Oh, Gurley?
Yeah, you got Gurley. You got a couple running backs that stand out and that have gotten paid, but running backs are not getting paid lately. They put more on the quarterback. So if I'm Andrew Luck and I've made over $100 million, I'm on my 4th year with just injuries, I think I'll sit back and enjoy my $100 million and just chill.
Yeah, he made $97 million in the league, and he left a $500 million on the table in possible earnings.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why this was so dramatic and profound, and a lot of people didn't get it. They're like, oh, it's just another football player quitting. No, it's not.
Yes.
Because when you have a high-profile quarterback, Luck was coming off one of his best seasons.
Mhm.
Not to mention he'd come back after not having played 2 full seasons. It was sparingly.
Oh yeah.
He had the shoulder surgeries, and when he retired last Saturday, it was a week ago, he had a calf injury,
Mhm.
he had a high ankle sprain, and he also had a third injury that he wasn't disclosing.
Yes.
So he is worried about walking. He is worried about having a quality of life.
Oh yeah.
He talked about having to want a family, so I completely respect his decision.
I mean, he played football on a whole other level.
He did.
He was getting knocked around, and they went back to one game. I forget that particular game. He brought them back, but he took some shots.
He played like Tim Tebow.
Yes, he took some major shots in that game, and he basically laid it all out on the line for that game, and I could respect him. I mean, I would want to be able to walk around at 30. I mean, at 42, my body hurts right now.
Oh yeah.
And I played football in high school. I didn't play in college. So me hurting right now, I couldn't even imagine those guys hurting. I couldn't imagine right now Tom Brady being up at 42 years old playing football. I'm trying to chill.
Well, and he even had mentioned, he said, it takes so many people to support me. This was Brady quoted just 2 weeks ago. It takes a support group that is innumerable of people around him. He didn't say a number of people, but obviously his wife, he's got his family, he's got trainers upon trainers.
Oh yeah.
And so when you're 42 years old, he's played 20 years in the NFL. So he is setting records. He's setting a precedent that we may not see again. Tom Brady, in all fairness, hasn't taken monstrous hits.
No.
Bill Belichick, to his credit, has protected him.
Yes. Brady had that one season he had to take off. I think was that a torn ACL.
It was by the Kansas City Chiefs did that too. Yeah.
He's been blessed.
He's been very blessed, and to have the Super Bowl titles, and like I said, he's had a career that is going to stand alone by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But when you mentioned running backs, I'm glad you said that. It's perfect because you said they're not getting paid, and there's a reason, and I side with the owners on this. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that running backs are now, in this day and age, a dime a dozen. They have become like place kickers in that way. Now, please, before anybody gets upset, I'm not comparing running backs with place kickers. I'm saying that they're easily replaceable because of the fact that on the kicker side, you need to have 32 elite kickers in the league who can make a field goal when you need it, but they're not consistent. On the running back side of the ball, there are a million running backs out there who are waiting to get their shot. The problem is when the hits start adding up. Just this morning, LaShawn McCoy got released by the Bills.
Yeah, that was wild.
Just 5 years ago, this guy was one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
So everybody in the league is expendable. Everybody is replaceable.
Yeah.
And when you have Ezekiel Elliott sitting out there right now, so for your Cowboys fans, I'm sorry. I was messing with my guy across the street, Doug, and I was saying, look, you better hope he comes back because he makes Dak Prescott look really good and he helps Dak do his job well. If you don't have a running game in the NFL, it's still old school.
Oh yeah.
You have to be able to run the football.
Yeah. Without Zeke, the Cowboys they can chalk it up. I mean, Zeke is the man.
He's a great player.
He will be the reason why Dak gets paid. Dak, and they always on Dak. I like Dak as a quarterback. I think, and a lot of times they make Dak a good game manager. He's not going to turn the ball over or make dumb mistakes like that. But when you have Ezekiel Elliott back there, you can turn around and hand the ball off too, and then you're kind of like a running threat yourself.
Right.
Man, listen, if I was Dak, I would be like, listen, we need Zeke.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get exposed by these other teams. And then Jerry's high up on this new running back they got in. But that's Jerry Jones.
It is.
Jerry Jones.
He's leveraging.
It's Jerry's world. Man.
It is. It is. And to the heart of it all is the hits. Okay. And these guys know when they get in the game of football, that is a contract with themselves.
Oof.
And a contract with their family, if they have one, saying, okay, any play could be my last. But again, that's the draw of football. That's what we love about it. As fans, as coaches, as former players, we really love the hits. But at the same time, if you love the hits, you got to be able to also nurture that kid or support that guy when he can't play for you.
Yeah, it's kind of like NASCAR. Everybody loves watching cars just go around 200 miles per hour. They have some brave individuals.
Yes, they are. They're crazy.
But people get excited with the wrecks.
Yeah.
The wrecks are exciting. And I remember looking at Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Yes.
When I was watching that record on TV, I was like, that's not bad.
It didn't seem that bad.
That's not bad at all. But that was the rate that killed him. And I think he probably hit the wall going 170.
Yeah, something like that. There's multiple head traumas.
Yeah, but it was, you love that part about it. Now, me, I'll tell myself, I'm a huge wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't watch it as much as I used to.
It's not as good anymore.
I'm telling you, when Stone Cold Steve Austin was there, I was so into wrestling. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, his personality alone did it.
Yeah, I was like, it was great. But a lot of that stuff is staged. And, it's not real. But then you think about how, I think it was Bret Hart who power drive Stone Cold Steve Austin, broke his neck. And was it Bret Hart?
I want to say it was Taker.
It wasn't Taker.
It wasn't Taker?
I think it was Bret Hart.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, this is before the whole persona of Stone Cold came. But that neck injury is what basically put him out because it nagged on him until eventually
he had two terrible knees too.
Yeah, he had some terrible knees. But that neck injury did it, and the fans went crazy when he got power drive. Right. But he still had to lay there, and I don't know what their code is to say, I'm really hurt. Hurry up and finish it.
Yeah.
And so I think instantly they knew, but we love violence.
Oh yeah.
And by football being the most violent sport, it's also the most underpaid sport. I tell kids now, if you want to play a sport, play Major League Baseball. Get $200 gazillion in 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't. But for football to be as violent as it is, it just doesn't pay. I think in my
well, the contracts aren't guaranteed.
Yes.
The signing bonuses are guaranteed. You get that as soon as you put your name on the line. But that doesn't take you very far. And so for me and you, if a guy says, my signing bonus was $620,000 to us, we would be doing flips and cartwheels in the front yard. These guys they live a different lifestyle though.
Yes, they do.
Okay, and when you're making that kind of money, you're in a tax bracket where they're taking almost half of what you make.
Yes.
And the gross majority they're broke.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's a lifestyle again that they choose.
Yes.
And so I don't want anybody to think we're taking the stance of that we feel sorry for them because we're former athletes, we're present day coaches. It's a matter of how do we as fans deal with it, I think is really at the heart of it. How do we, from a moral argument and a moral state of mind, I think we have to be able to be on both sides of this. Especially you coach the game still. I'm not around football every day anymore, but being there doing the announcing last night, there were a few injuries that were on the field. Yes. You have them, and you're always bracing for the big one.
Yeah.
And it's just that threat that is part of the fear for parents, but as fans, it's that threat that gets you excited, like you already mentioned.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that good guy running alongside the bad guy that we all have every single day, and they look at each other saying, hey, who's going to blink?
Yes.
So as much as we love football, when we say, what's the future of it? Some people have said, hey, maybe it's flag football.
Yeah. I mean,
it sounds funny.
Yeah, but you think about it though, these kids have been getting these injuries since they were 5 and 6 years old.
That's right.
So how many knee injuries has Andrew Luck had in his lifetime?
We don't know.
That's what you have to look at. How many concussions has it been? I just think the days of having those longevity football players is over now. I mean, I think it's starting to dwindle down. And you look now, a lot of these kids come out of college ready to play. I think Pat Mahomes is going to have a great year, but that's unheard of. You come out of college now, you're starting quarterback of an NFL team. So they're 20, 21 years old.
They're very young.
Running a franchise, and you are the face of that franchise. So it's very hard to step up into that. But we don't know how many injuries they've had beforehand. You think about Jim Brown though. Jim Brown retired at the high point of his career.
Yeah. He
retired. Last week we talked about Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders wasn't injured, but Barry Sanders retired because it was just terrible management in Detroit. He was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, he was tired of losing, and I supported him on that too, because a lot of people would be like, well, so what if you're losing? Be there for your teammates. But Barry's case was different.
Yes.
Barry was the Lions.
And he could have broke all rushing records, but he was just like, you know what? But we don't know if he had any injuries. So Barry Sanders out there every day putting his body on the line.
Absolutely. And that's I think somebody who, we had a couple people chime in during the week, saying, well, what about Barry? And I can't remember the other player that somebody said. Because that wasn't the theme we were going on as far as early retirement. We were talking about early retirement based on injury.
Yeah.
And that's something that not only based on injury, but high profile player.
I mean, Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
At his prime.
And he was okay.
Yeah.
He was worried about the future.
Yeah. But Rob Gronkowski spoke about it this week. He's not even 30 years old yet. And you look at him and you're like, dude, you are like beat up.
Did you watch his video that he made?
Yeah.
He was broken in his soul.
Yeah, he was beyond broken. And he is a funny, great guy.
He is.
And so I felt like with him, like he can go do movies, he can do commercials.
Wrestling.
But yeah, he can do wrestling. But listening to him talk the other day, I'm like, how many hits has he taken?
Well, and so a word just popped into my head, joy. He mentioned that his joy was gone for football, and that was another word that Andrew Luck said.
Oh yeah.
So joy is a word that we don't get to say that often. It's like one of those that we reserve for a great day. When you say, today I've got joy in my heart. Like you're going to church and you're like, I've got joy in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for an athlete, when you have dedicated your life to train to be the best, and your joy is gone because of pain, then you shouldn't play anymore.
Exactly.
You know, and so when we watched Gronkowski the other day, when he's like one of the faces of CBD oil treatment now, and all kinds of different CBD treatments, which I'm a big proponent of that, because if you can get these guys off the opiates, that's what we want. We don't want addiction in the NFL outside of the regular cocaine and alcoholism. Opiates are huge in the NFL.
I mean, the baseball player, Tyler, that just
died. The autopsy they did.
Yeah, he had opioids in his body mixed along with alcohol.
Sure did.
His parents said that's not him. And they felt like one of the employees at the Angels?
Yes.
They felt like he was giving them those drugs, but like if he's asking for it, he's in pain, he's using it for pain, but then you mix it with alcohol, it becomes a deadly.
It's lethal.
Yeah, so you don't want these athletes on opioids and all of these different drugs and all these different pain medicines trying to survive. I hadn't watched what's the show with The Rock? I hadn't watched this season.
Oh, Ballers?
Ballers.
Yeah.
But Rock had an addiction on there.
He eats them.
Yeah, I like every day.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people like that trying to survive just eating them. And if their doctor won't give them, they'll go find another doctor.
And
give it to them.
It's important that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson puts that in that, I think, more than he really realizes. Because, look, I've been honest and open to people where I suffer from chronic pain in my back. And I think it is, and we'll talk about this in our positive thinking part, but that is my single greatest challenge every day, is fighting the urge to open over-the-counter ibuprofen bottle all day long.
Oh yeah.
Because every time I do it, I'm popping 3 at a time. You're only supposed to do 2 at a time.
Yeah.
I used to do 4 at a time.
Yeah.
And that is directly damaging my liver. I would probably guess my liver is probably like a 7-year-old's right now.
Yeah.
And that scares me for my kids. I've taken Tylenol. I do Tylenol 3 at a time. And, you know, I could go to the doctor and get a referral to go to a pain clinic. I don't want to live that life, though.
Exactly.
And these guys don't want to live that life. It's like you said, if you're in the pain that you're in, and I'm in the pain that I'm in, and we don't take hits every day, we can't even imagine what those guys feel like.
I definitely. Miss Trina Hill just said, "Hey Trina, how you doing?" She said, "You can love something, but when the joy is gone, it's time to change."
Amen.
So if you're in pain, no matter how much you love it, you can't. If there's no joy about that thing, I love football.
Right.
But my joy is gone. I don't have it in me to get back up after my 4th neck injury.
No.
So I mean, I hated to see the fans boo Andrew Luck.
That was terrible.
Because of he's done a lot for him. But it's kind of like a relationship. You have a bad breakup, and they have a bad breakup, but you got to remember those good times.
I think at the heart of it, and I don't mean to be the voice of the Colts, but I think what they were booing was the fact that they were so excited for their year was supposed to be great.
Yeah.
They're loaded.
Yeah.
They were ready for a run to actually compete and maybe beat the Patriots and represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. So I get it.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, Andrew Luck was the only reason you guys were going to lead that charge in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
So don't boo the guy that was putting you in position. You got spoiled by Peyton Manning being there, okay? And to his credit, Luck came right on the heels of Peyton Manning. Had to fill those gigantic Hall of Fame shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody envied that. But Andrew came in, didn't talk, didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
In fact, they released a mic'd up film the other day about him. These guys would just, boom, just slam him over and over again. He pats him on the helmet. Hey, great hit, man.
Yeah.
He loves the game.
Yeah, he definitely loves
And we love having guys in the NFL that love playing the game.
Yeah.
But again, in a Monday morning, you got all these people piling on saying, you don't do that as a man. You don't do that to your teammates. He's not doing it to his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
It's self-preservation.
Yeah.
Let's not get twisted here. It's not being selfish. It's being selfless.
Oh, yeah. You think about it. If I'm Andrew Luck, and I don't know if he has kids yet. I know he says he wants to be married.
I don't think he does. I think he's married to any kids yet.
So, like, I want to be able to go outside and throw the football with my son and teach him everything that I know. But if I'm in pain and I'm jacked up, I can't do it. I don't want to ask anybody to be a fragment of themselves, especially at 29, 30 years old.
No.
You know, those are some of my best times, 29, 30 years old, and then when I get to 42, I'm still going, but I'm not what I was when I was 29 years old. So at 29, he's probably feeling like a 42-year-old or a 50-year-old right now. So he's like, I gotta change something. When you go back to Rob Gronkowski, he looked skinnier when I seen him on TV.
Yeah, he's already losing a lot of weight.
Yeah, so as you know, and for a football player, he has to stay a certain weight. He's got to be at because his body's taking a lot of shots. Mm-hmm. So he's got to be able to play the game. So now he's walking around his right body weight. He's already a big, tall guy. So I know he's got to have bad knees.
Yeah, at 29 years old, he probably has the body of a 55-year-old.
Yep.
And he played the game the best. Actually, better than most tight ends that we've seen. I think he's probably going to go down as one of the top 10 tight ends we've ever seen in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Great hands, was always dependable, and I'm going to tell you somebody who's going to miss him this year is Tom Brady. He was Tom's biggest target. Yeah. He was one of Tom's most reliable targets.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a different game without Gronkowski out there. Couple more things I think we can go ahead and move on from the subject, but you did bring up earlier the suicide rates that have increased over the years based on CTE, and that is something that is squarely in the sights of the future of football. Because we are seeing players deal with mental health a lot earlier than we used to. Mm-hmm. And that's a societal issue anyway, but as far as football goes, these guys have a lot of pressure on them, again, that they sign up for. Okay, nobody makes them go play football. It's a choice they make. It's a contract they make with themselves and their families. Having said that, though, Junior Seau is the big face of suicide when it comes to football players. Junior Seau was a magnificent, transcendent linebacker in the NFL for the Chargers, for the Patriots, for the Dolphins, and
I love Junior Seau.
The ESPN 30 for 30 that came out on him, I think it was 2 years ago, was so heartbreaking. The fact that someone could get so low of his status, and he was everybody's friend. He greeted everybody saying, "Hey, buddy." Mm-hmm. Everybody was his buddy. Mm-hmm. From Hawaii, great guy, great spirit. There's nothing you couldn't love about him. Oh, yeah. But he had detached from his family. He didn't know how to love his children. He couldn't keep a relationship. Yeah. He had turned into a different individual, and that was because of his brain.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a scary thing.
It's very scary.
You think about, and I hate to bring his name up, Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah. Great example.
Yeah, like, listen, that they said his brain was damaged with CTE, and he was just in his 20s.
Yes.
And they said his was really bad. And I think about all those things, and like Gronkowski said, his soul was broken. You know, MLK was like 39 years old when he died.
Yes.
They said he had the heart of like a 72-year-old. Because of all the stress and all the pressure and trying to put this on their back. So like when we just never know what people are dealing with.
Right.
So, but you know your body, you know when it's time to retire, you know when it's time to quit. And you have those cases like Junior Seau, where he probably should have retired a lot earlier. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if he would still be with us, but it's probably one of those things that you need to look at. But those guys back in the days would just drug themselves up because of contract. Mm-hmm. Good example of that is Any Given Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Think about when LT was like, "No, listen, give me
That's a great scene. Actually,
they was like, one more shot and you're ahead, you could be dead." And he was like, "No, I gotta get my bonus. I gotta get my bonus."
Right.
So a lot of those guys are thinking about money, thinking about long-term wealth and doing those things. But a lot of them are smarter now, and they're achieving financial gain earlier on in their contract. Like a lot of people mad at Zeke Elliott, but running backs don't last but 2 to 4 years. And I know, but with that being said, they don't last for 2 to 4 years. I don't know Zeke's body.
Yeah.
And what his temperament is. He's probably gonna get in trouble again.
Well, I was getting ready to say, I don't blame him. I don't. I side with the owner because of the investment that it's made, but I also don't blame Zeke because looking from a player's standpoint, he has taken that abuse like you were talking about. He's been playing his whole life.
Oh yeah.
And he's taken a lot of hits, but he's also the kind of player that avoids a lot of hits.
Oh, yeah.
So he does see himself as, hey, look, I can have a 10-year career. I got maybe 8 solid years left. So I need to get paid now. Dude, get paid while you can. I support that side of it, and that's something that fans are not open-minded enough about.
Yeah.
I get upset when people say, he's ungrateful, he's selfish, I wouldn't do that, and I'm like, yes you would.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
Don't stand here and tell me that you wouldn't try to get as much money, $14 million. Yes, you would.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you, here's a great example right here. From this t-shirt. People used to ask me back in the days, man, for $100 million, would you get the ring of Mike Tyson? Heck yeah. I know he's gonna knock me out within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm rich.
But are you gonna live to see it? That's the thing.
Listen, I'm gonna live because when he's hitting me, I'm already going down. The wind can go by my face.
You're like, oh.
I'm gonna get my money and I'm gonna chill. But you know, it goes back to little league sports. And you think about it in Little League, how many times would kids get hurt? And we're like, dude, suck it up.
Yeah.
Suck it up. Stop being a baby. Come on, Buttercup. What are you doing?
Right.
And you know, a lot of times those kids are like really injured. And I tell them all the time, there's a difference between being hurt and there's a difference between being injured.
Exactly.
Hurt, you can't function. You can't get up. I mean, like I hurt my finger. That's fine.
Right.
But injured, you can't move. You can't do something is broken, something is loose. I'm not going to put you back out on the field or the court when you hit your head, and that's stuff that is major. But you know, they've been hearing their whole lives to suck it up, and you have those coaches that have put players out there injured because they want to win right now.
Yeah.
So we have to look at it, and I'm probably going to side with the athlete a little bit more because we don't know their body.
Right.
I just know my body when I wake up now, and I'm like, man. But when I was 15, 16 years old, I could sprain my ankle and be out there playing the next day. Like,
I miss that.
I need that right now.
I miss that a lot. I do. I miss it every day, and again, that's something that we're going to talk about here very momentarily about the power of positive thinking. That's just one of the many challenges that I go through literally on a daily basis of pushing through. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that. Hello, Kara. Thanks for tuning in. I haven't even seen you since high school graduation. A lot of you today, so I appreciate you watching.
I got some great comments.
Go ahead. What you got?
Ms. Trina here, she's on it today. She said, there is life after sports. And she also says, when the rush is gone, then what? The players are left to self. Wisdom is key. Brandon Wells said, given the opportunity, I think we would all retire at 29 if we had Andrew Luck's checking and savings. Brandon, that's the greatest thing I heard from my life, man. I don't know what else to tell you about that.
Oh, yeah.
If I had his checking and savings account, bye.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hurt anymore. I'm going to ride out in the sunset, and I'll be a great commentator.
Absolutely. Well, and there's another aspect there too inside of that where once they're not on the grand stage anymore, we as fans, we just move on.
We definitely move on.
We move on to the next guy, and it's terrible when you think about it. It makes me feel terrible about myself when I'm like, wow, am I really just moving on to the next?
Yeah.
Oh, you're hurt. Okay, bring up the next guy.
Yeah.
And that's man, I don't want to think about it like that. The one good thing that I have heard from a few, there's been maybe 2 or 3 former football players from the pro level have said, look, really the only way I think we can save football and make it go a little bit further is maybe these kids shouldn't start playing until they're older. And I was like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. And you and I look at it from a coaching standpoint where as coaches, in order to build a really good athlete over time, you say the earlier the better.
Yeah.
Football's different though.
Yeah.
When you're talking about headshot after headshot after headshot, even if it's just a major, maybe it's just a little bit of a bump.
Yeah.
It's still affecting your brain. And I did so much research on this back in, I think, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote several columns about head traumas, and I got upset. I got books. I was reading books about football because one of my sons was little at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was leaving things open. Maybe he wants to play football.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out now that it's a little bit too close to home. He's like, "Hey, Dad, I want to play football." I said, "You know what, dude? Maybe in high school." And he gets upset. He's got chronic migraines too.
Oh man.
And so when you've got a diagnosis with chronic migraines, you take a couple shots to the head, then you may be in bed for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it upsets him, and I know that he feels like Dad's holding him back, and Dad's babying him. I'm just looking out for it. I want him to be somebody that can function in life.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take that away too, even for somebody who doesn't have a chronic pain issue or a neurological issue, at least if you can start kids later, let's just say, even if you don't wait till middle school, maybe you say 9 and 10 years old, as opposed to mini mites at 5 and 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, look, a hit's a hit.
Yeah, it's definitely a hit.
Because when you're getting hit by somebody who's your age, you're still going to be in a little bit of pain, and then you progress to 12 and 13, 14, 15. The kids are bigger, they're stronger. Hey, those kids they have in Tallahassee,
Yes.
you and I both know, I don't know what they're feeding them over there. But when they come here to Panama City and play kids, there's a big size differential.
Oh yeah, big size. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, you can speak on that because I know you've had a lot more exposure to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like two different things. When CTE studies came out, it killed little league sports, little league football. I could see our numbers drop about 20%. Where we had about 1,600 kids, we went down to like 13 to 1,200 kids, and it's getting less and less after that. I mean, they changed the way practice is now. You only have so many hours a week that you can hit, and then you have a game. So you can only hit for 30 minutes a day. And coaches they were like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do with this?" In college right now, there's probably no contact at practice. Probably that first day,
Right.
But other than that, they're chasing robots and hitting dummies, which tackling surface now. So it's the difference between tackling a human that can juke you and a robot that's just going from side to side.
There's so many dynamics.
Yeah, so we were looking at the game last week in horror, like, why can't they tackle? Well, they don't hit now because of CTE and all those different things. So that's why a lot of these kids can't wait to the games. They're like, oh, I can't wait for football. But if you think about it, you take two unmovable forces. You got a running back running the ball in between gaps at 100 miles per hour. You got a linebacker coming to tackle him at 100 miles per hour. Somebody's going to lose that war.
That's right.
And we call those car wrecks.
Yeah,
So
it is.
there's so many car wrecks that a running back can take a game or take over a period of time. And then you start adding the element of the quarterback now being a running back himself. They always said, back in the days, quarterbacks are just slow in the pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't run, they didn't do anything. Then the Lone Stars coming, Michael Vick, Randall Cunningham, these guys that can move, and it was like, this type of quarterback won't last. And I was like, man, this is fun, this is exciting, but they take too many hits.
They do.
A quarterback is not designed to take hits like these running backs are taking. So that's why we're starting to see a lot of those guys' careers end quickly. So it's one of those things that you're gonna keep watching. It's gonna keep dwindling over a period of time.
I think we're just seeing the beginning of it. With guys like Gronk, with Luck, leaving the game, Megatron with the Lions. I think this is not just a fad. I think this is a trend.
It's definitely a trend.
I don't think that you and I will see the game of football suffer greatly in our lifetime, but I can see it happening in the next couple generations. That I think the population, like you said, the enrollment's going to go down exponentially. Kids are going to start playing less contact sports. They are going to be playing baseball, and that's no disrespect to baseball. Baseball is still physical at home plate. It can still be physical in the outfield when you're diving over the home run fence, but it is not head-to-head contact. It is not leg-to-leg contact. Sports, even like basketball, has become less physical over the years. So go play basketball or go play tennis. I mean, golf. There's a lot of good things out there that everybody can still do to be athletic. You don't have to play football unless you really feel like that's what you should do. But I don't begrudge anybody for wanting to take care of their body. I played 150 miles per hour in everything that I did, and I pay for it dearly every single day. Would I go back and change it? Nope. I have no regrets. And on that note, you want to go ahead and transition into
We could definitely transition.
positive thinking?
I lost my little live feed right here.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had to pull it back up.
Okay.
Internet doesn't like me.
So, if you don't mind, I wanted to start with the post that I put out there this morning. Did you get to read that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I did it on purpose with the wording of what ESPN 30 for 30 does, the what if I told you. Okay, and it was a picture that I posted this morning, if you guys got to see it, of me and Demi. It's a dark hallway, and it was right smack dab in the middle of Hurricane Michael. And the message behind that was, we can't always trust what we see on the outside. We're both smiling and looking very relaxed and even happy during an event that we could have died.
Yes.
And so the power of positive thinking is not just a cliche, not to me. And a lot of people go, oh, well, why are you always Mr. Positive? Don't tell me to have a good day. Can you not put up another cool quote on the board today? I've heard all of it. Now, me being me, that makes me want to come back even stronger the next day. I love writing things up on the board. The message behind what I put up this morning was the fact that that was a critical moment for me. And I remember in that moment, I was very scared, but you couldn't tell. I was holding my knees on the floor in a cradle position because I felt that's the only way I felt safe as a grown man. So obviously, you know, we talked about, you and I, the genesis of this show was like, we're gonna have to be vulnerable. This is me showing everybody right now how vulnerable I was in that moment, where I've got everybody who I take care of on a daily basis right next to me in the same hallway, and I didn't feel like I could protect them. And as a man, that's one of the worst feelings, if not the worst feelings you can have. Because you know, you don't know. You know that you don't know in that moment, and you can hear the chaos around you. And this is timely because of the hurricane that's approaching. Luckily, not in our area right now. I think we're going to be very, very fortunate. But we can relate to all these people who are scared right now. We can relate to all these people who are paranoid right now. And I even reached out to a mother of a child I coached a couple of years ago. She said that she's suffering severe PTSD. She's watching the weather reports every hour on the hour. And she's like, I don't think I can take this. And I wrote to her, I said, look, I go through stuff every single day related to the storm that I got to fight off. I said, let's just stick together, we can get through this. You know? And that's just one little aspect that we're going to talk about here probably in the next 30 minutes of positive thinking and our journey towards that. What's one of your things that you want to say about it?
Just piggybacking on what you're saying, that I think the hurricane was one of those moments where everything that I had trained myself to do, to always be positive, to see a good outcome on, just being in that state of vulnerability, and like you said, everybody you love is right here around you right now, and there's nothing you can do to protect them. That's why I would hate to take a plane ride with my whole family. Like, there's nothing I can do if this plane goes down to protect you. And so I think being in that state of vulnerability was one of those times where I was like, man, what is going to be positive about it? What's going on right now? Like, I blew it. We should have left. We shouldn't have been here. And I had all these different thoughts going through my head. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, I could hear my daughter praying. And it was like, get up, start protecting stuff. So as a man, I shut them off in the bathroom, start throwing stuff on the doors and the windows and make sure nothing else breaks, or start sucking stuff out. I just went into a whole different mode. And I was like, listen, we are going to beat this. And if I feel this building move, we are running out of this building full speed in my truck, and we're going to look like a scene off of Twister or something, but we're going to get out of here. But that was one of those times it was hard for me to remain positive. But through the storm, I became more positive. Like you said, that adrenaline kicked in, and I was ready for anything, man.
Well, you know, and the journey towards positive thinking is a long one.
Mm-hmm.
And I even told you the other day that just 2 months ago I discovered it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody to think that I've mastered it.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't think anybody ever masters it, and that's not really what it's about. It's about how do you get there and how do you maintain it. And
exactly.
what was it, back on May 30th?
Mm-hmm.
That day was critical for me, and this is another personal story where I was here alone. School had gotten out. I'd already made the transition from teaching into my new job, so I had some time off. And I had asked our contractor, almost begged him. I said, "Look, get me a dumpster, please. Get me a roll off." Because at that point, we had about a 5-foot high pile of trash in our front yard from the contractor, drywall, boxes, all kinds of stuff. I had every appliance imaginable was on my patio. It was all busted. We had new stuff at that point, got replaced. And I said, look, I got to get it out of here because I'm seeing it every day. My kids, my family's seeing it every day. And everybody out there in the area can relate to. You drive through our town, we see the destruction every single day. And I said, please get it here. So he got it here the next day. And so I decided that, again, tying this in with the chronic pain, I'm going to fight through this. I have nobody to help me. I was too stubborn to ask anybody because I knew that this was a day for me and me only I had to overcome. So I got out of there, and it took me 2 hours. I loaded up my basketball hoop by myself into a dumpster and kept going. Now, had I had somebody here, they probably would have said, dude, stop. You're going to break yourself. You can't do this. But I had an epiphany that day, and it was like, you know what? I'm moving forward by any means necessary. I'm going to be positive, and removing this trash from our yard is going to help me get there. Going to the backyard, which is devastated still. I have no fence still, like a lot of people. I'm going to go back there and I'm going to face my demons. And that was a big day for me. So if anybody out there has got something like that, that you've been looking at something, maybe you've got a problem with, people hate to say pack rat. You know, maybe you have that kind of mentality where you pile and you pile and you pile, and you don't want to deal with it. That's kind of the same thing. We had a pile around us that we didn't put there. And I took the lead and I said, I'm going to do this. I don't care how much it hurts me. I'm going to do it. And I pushed and I pulled and I climbed. I got dirty, and yeah, I paid for it. Trust me, I paid for it. But that was an avenue that I took towards a positive outcome.
I think along those lines too, I think that's why we were needed at the school when we were teaching. When we was teaching. We was all about positive thinking. I found out a lot of kids, all they hear is negative.
Yes, they do.
And their conversation becomes negative. And a lot of adults, just negative talking. Like, have you ever just met an adult and you'd be like, hey, this is our plan, this is what we're gonna do. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. We're not gonna do that.
Several.
And it drives me insane. I was like, you gotta think positive. You got to be positive about those situations. And if you keep telling yourself that you can't do it, you won't be able to ever do it.
Right.
So along the lines of positive thinking, if you think it, then it can start becoming so. But it has to be good thoughts. So we got to get to a stage or get to a place where we can start transitioning those bad thoughts into good thoughts and start becoming the man or woman that we're supposed to be. That was another title.
What is it? Well, you're going back in time there, man. If you haven't seen that show. And so, and we talked about earlier with the NFL players and the chronic pain that they deal with and how we don't begrudge them for walking away from the game. And so you and I, former athletes, and we deal with aches and pains, but we're getting older. It's a part of it. We try to stay fit. We both work out. We both try to do training to fit it into our daily lives. And when you're adulting, you're busy. I use that word adulting all the time. And I tell kids, look, stay a kid as long as you can.
Please.
Because when you start paying those bills, if you have a family and you're running around, you don't stop. And in fact, I did get a little bit dark here the other day. I looked at them and I said, you know what? We have actually adapted to being exhausted.
Yeah.
And I hadn't said that out loud. And because I have issues sleeping, I have probably a light case of insomnia. And people don't know that. I struggle, I get maybe between 3 and 5 hours of sleep a night. Because of my back pain, because of a lot of anxiety that I've picked up after the storm.
Yeah.
Again, as a man, as an old school man, we always feel like it's our job, it's our obligation to take care of everybody in the house by any means necessary.
Yeah.
There are no excuses.
Yeah.
There is no, oh, I'm not going to go to work today, I don't feel like it. You do it. That's the way we were raised, that's the way we were brought up, and I still believe that's the right way. But we also add pressure to ourselves that's already there from society as it is. But the chronic pain issue is something that again, a lot of people don't know because you can't show back pain. I've dealt with people in the past. In fact, a former boss gave me a lot of hard time when I did sustain my back injury to just deal with it.
Wow.
I'll never forget when he told me just to deal with it, even though I was literally walking heel toe like a 90-year-old man.
Wow.
So it is a trial by fire. The way my day begins is I get up and I have to gently roll on my right side out of bed. And again, I don't want anybody to think I'm complaining. I don't want you to think I'm complaining because again, it's a vulnerable moment that I'm too proud to talk about.
Yeah.
Not many people see me go through it. My kids see me, unfortunately. Demi sees me go through it. And to them, that's the only way they know me. It bothers me that they don't know the old Dave. It bothers me they don't know the guy who would go for a dunk, I'd get undercut, I'd get slammed into the wall because guys were, nobody likes to get dunked on.
Exactly.
I'm only 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I had a 38-inch vertical leap and I was dunking on guys, so they were taking my legs out and trying to hurt me. I just bounced right back up.
Yeah.
Those days are long gone, dude.
Yeah.
And I pay for those bumps on the ground. I pay for the elbows to the head. I took a lot of shots to the head in basketball. Basketball was a physical game back then.
Very physical. Very physical.
But again, I loved it and I'm not complaining, but the mental warfare, I guess is a good term, that I do go through every day of don't go to the cabinet, don't go grab more ibuprofen, dude. Just lay down and get on your roller, do some therapeutic equipment around the house. Maybe just sit down for a few minutes. Look at your phone. I take myself through a battery of different bullet points and tests to talk myself down because I just don't want to do over-the-counter drugs. You don't want to go to a pain clinic and get opiates. That is a fast track to addiction. I've seen it very up close and personal. I've dealt with my own demons with saying, hey, just go get an epidural shot. Go get that cortisone shot, dude. You'll be good for 2 weeks, Dave. I hear it all the time in my head. Dude, just go take care of it. You'll be good. Get some Darvocet, get some Vicodin. That stuff will help you. But you and I both know that doesn't help you. It's a quick fix. You want to do things organically. You want to do things naturally. And that's positive thinking is all I've got when it comes to that. That and prayer. I ask God all the time, please help me through this. I'm so tired of this pain.
Yeah.
I don't want people seeing me in pain.
I got you. What do you think about this quote? Abraham Lincoln said, most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is. It's, again, we've talked about this, the two choices that you have every day.
Yeah. Today's
going to be a crappy day or today's going to be an amazing day.
Yes. Monday is like, that's the only day of the week everybody hates Monday.
They do.
Like, oh my God, Monday.
It's overrated though.
Yeah. And then I started thinking about, what if I didn't have a Monday to wake up to? You gotta find positivity in a lot of things in the negative situations. I know we were talking, I was like, man, I got a lot going on, I gotta do this. He was like, dude, you know, I know you got a lot going on. You got a lot thinking about. Well, let's not do the show this week. We can wait. And I was like, no, like I do my best work under pressure.
Well, no, and I respect that because again, you know, being a family man, you know, you would told me, hey, look, you know, things are kind of worrisome around the house with the storm coming. I get it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, our job is to make them feel safe.
Yeah.
And you were the guy, and I was the guy that told them last year, we're going to be just fine.
Yeah, we got you.
And we hear them. Yeah, Dad, you told us that last year. You know, and I joke about it. I'm like, man, you guys act like it's breaking news when I make a mistake, or I give you.
Hey, that's rare for dads, right? We rarely.
Yeah, we like to think that. I think we mess up more than we want to admit. It's part of that macho stuff, though. You want to make them feel good, and again, the positive thinking part is something that we have to get around as men and say, look, I'm not being corny when I'm or over dramatic when I'm saying just be positive.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that men 5 to 10 even years ago, as recent as that, was looked down upon. It's like, dude, you just do it. It's not about being positive. You just do it. Mm-hmm. No, it is about being positive.
Exactly.
And being in coaching, what we love so much, dude, that's 90% of it.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah.
The 10% is go out there and execute the game plan.
I mean, you gotta be a positive coach.
You have to.
If your players see that you're negative and you don't think we're actually gonna win this game, that's kind of like the mindset that your players will take up. I remember being on the coaching staff one time. We were going to play a playoff game. We knew this team was far more superior than us. So in coach's mind, he started thinking about, okay, let me figure out how we can't lose the game this bad.
Oh gosh, why would you say that?
And I was like, no, we're going to win, baby. It's all on the line. We have nothing to lose. Lay it all out there.
Right.
But his negative thinking is what really cost us the game. After we got out there, I was like, we can really play with these guys. But if I'm told in 2 weeks in advance, like, they're going to kill us. That's the way it is. I got another thing here that says positive thinking does not necessarily mean avoiding or ignoring the bad things. Instead, it involves making the most of the potential bad situations. Trying to see the best in other people and viewing yourself and your abilities in a positive light.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I caught a lot of flack, but everybody that knows me knows that my grandmother was like my world.
Right.
Listen, I love my grandmother to the T. And so my grandmother passed in 2010. She went through a little small bout with cancer. I finally convinced her to have the surgery. We went to go have the surgery. They did an x-ray and said the cancer had spread to like the liver, and her being 80 plus years old, it's best to just let her go on and die naturally, because if we give her this chemo and everything, it could be worse for her. And my grandmother just looked at me and said, I told you they wasn't gonna cut on me no more. And she smiled. Mm-hmm. But after she passed, everybody expected me to be broke down, right. Not being able to function. And
nobody would have blamed you for that.
And that's what everybody expected. And they was like, why are you up? How are you planning this funeral? How are you possibly going to preach this funeral? He's like, you want to preach this funeral? And Pastor taught me. He's like, I'll do the sermon. He's like, but I want you to be up there and you can do the prayer, whatever you want to do. And I was up there praising God and singing, dancing, laughing. And they was like, how? I was like, man, listen, my grandmother always told me that it was going to be days like this. Mm-hmm. And there's a great scripture that says to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. I knew she was with God. So if I could bring her back, if I could like, hey, I got a gateway, you can come back. When you with God, there's no way you was like, I'm not coming back.
No, why would you?
You understand the streets are paved with gold, everything is good up here. I could not force her to come back. So I knew that she was in a better place and she wasn't suffering anymore.
Absolutely.
So my positive thinking went to a whole nother level. You know, and then I'm not gonna lie, when I got to myself, I was hurt. I was like, man, I miss her. I just wish I could have that conversation with her. So for every bit of wisdom I got it from her. Just having conversations with her, or me getting fussed at, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna receive that. But my mind would not allow me to view it as negative. When people wrong me or people decide they're gonna walk out of my life, like I'm done with you, Ty. I'm not fooling with you no more. All right. I mean, goodbye.
That's your choice. Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel any type ways about it. I'm like, okay, for some odd reason, they wasn't meant to be here. They wasn't supposed to be here. I don't have hard feelings against people.
Right.
I don't hold grudges. My memory when it comes to being mad or being angry is so short term. Like I told you, I could be mad. I'm only gonna be mad for about 5 minutes, and I forget why I'm mad. I forget why I'm hurt, which allows me to socialize and speak to people who have wronged me.
Right.
And it drives my family crazy. Like, why am I
It
speaking
does.
to this person?
It does.
What do you got going on? What is wrong? Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel any ill will towards them because I understand who I am as a man. And when you start understanding who you are as a person,
Right.
small stuff doesn't bother you anymore.
Absolutely.
People can say whatever they want to say about you. It doesn't bother you because you think along the lines of, I'm going to another level. My next level is greater than this.
Right.
I don't have time to
I am
be
bigger
mad.
than my problems.
Yeah, I don't have time to be mad or be frustrated about anything
Yeah.
because I'm trying to get to another level. So that's what my thinking is on a lot of things. That's why it doesn't allow me to be mad with people. And if you wrong me and you want to come up and talk to me and you're trying to laugh and chop it up, I know that you did me wrong.
Right.
So I don't even say, hey, you feel bad, don't you? You miss me. I don't do those things.
Right.
So you want to laugh it up and chop it up is because you know something is not there. I always say this. A majority of people that are super hurt at funerals and just bawling, crawling, falling out, going over the casket, hasn't done that person that they're bawling and crying out over right.
That's right.
And they want another chance to try to make those things right. So we have to love each other every day as if it's our last day.
It's perfect because they weren't ready.
Yeah.
And that's a 2-word phrase that I use both in coaching and also in life is stay ready.
Mm-hmm.
I always look to my right on the bench and I look to even the guy who's the deepest, even 12, 13 deep, the guy that never plays. And I'll say, hey, and they'll say, yeah, coach, stay ready.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at me, they're like, we both know I'm not going to get in the game. And I'll say, no, you know what? I don't know that because I could lose 3 and 4 guys to fouls and injuries at any moment. You stay ready. I need you to be just as good as the guy who's the first one coming on the court at the tip-off. And so staying ready in life, when Demi and I dealt with her cancer diagnosis, can you be ready for that? Well, no.
There's no way to prepare for that.
You can't.
Yeah.
But my mentality said, okay, Dave, let's move on to tomorrow. And how are we going to approach it? I can honestly look you in the face. So everybody sees I'm looking at you. I wasn't afraid. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But I do know that I prayed a lot. And I did lean on God a lot. But I also was so confident in the fact that I knew that Demi was strong enough to beat it. I knew that we were going to a place in Tampa at Moffitt, which was top of the line in the United States and in the world in research. I said, you know what? I will drive you there every week if I need to. And we came up with a plan. And, you know, our family supported us in doing that. And it's because of that support, it's because of that positive thinking that my mom got on board with, that my dad got on board with. They said, we're going to make this happen and you're going to beat it. And, you know, Demi doesn't like to say that she beat it, and I understand it. People who are in remission from cancer, they always have it in the back of their mind. They're saying, look, I'm not out of the woods yet. And I understand that, you know, and I have to coach her from time to time where she has her days where, you know, there are effects when you go through treatment like that. It was very, very intense. The chemo, the not being able to eat, there are times where she has a slight pain in her mouth and she gets a little bit paranoid. And I'm like, you're okay. You know, we're good, you know? And so that is the power of saying, I can compartmentalize. And that is something, that's a term right there that people go, what do you mean? Well, it's hard. And as I posted earlier in the week, I said, people don't understand the work that it takes to be a positive person.
Exactly.
They don't see that they don't see you when you go in the shower in the morning and you're thinking, how am I going to do today? I have that question with myself about 2 or 3 days a week. How am I going to get through, I didn't sleep last night again. And I know in 2 hours I'm going to be shaking at my desk because I'm so tired. I know that by 2 o'clock I'm going to be in so much pain. I got to work out today. But I can't lift this because it hurts my back. You just got landmine after landmine of negativity, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Exactly.
And so it hits you and it hits you and you're like, okay, I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to put a smile on my face, not to fake, but it is to forge a path that I'm going to be okay.
Exactly.
Because I've got a gift today, and that gift is I'm standing up, I'm breathing. And sometimes you just have to simplify it like that. Because the first thing I thank Him for every day is thank you just for today.
Yeah.
No matter if it's pouring rain and lightning and thunder and all that, hey, you know what? That's going to pass. I'm going to get through it. Everything's going to dry up and it'll be okay. But I'm here, and what I use as not just another day, I said thank you for this opportunity. Because each day is an opportunity. And I'm not trying to get all, religious and biblical on and all that stuff, but it's just a part of us sharing our journey and what we lean on. You need to do whatever works that is healthy to be positive.
Yes.
Because some people would say, well, for me to be positive, I need to have a couple drinks, or I need to have some pills and some drinks, or I need to have a certain friend group. There's danger in leaning on objects and people.
People will definitely let you down.
They will. You need to look yourself in the mirror. Like you said earlier, you need to be confident in who you are.
Exactly.
And that in itself is a challenge. I've been around several adults who they still don't know who they are.
Yes.
That's sad.
Yes.
When you get to our age, and I still consider us we're pretty young and we're doing pretty well, but if you don't know who you are by now, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to check yourself. And I'm not being disrespectful when I say that. You need to slow down and say, okay, what's going on around me?
Let me chill.
Yeah. What is my environment? Who are my friend groups if I have any? What am I putting into my body? What am I thinking about? What are my goals? There's just so many different things, and we don't have the blueprint here, but we wanted to raise this because it is a daily struggle. I think that's the correct word.
Yeah. I'm reminded of, and I'm going to go a little biblical on you here, Jacob. Jacob is one of the craziest characters in the Bible. I ain't going to call him a character, he's a person. He's
right.
real. But Jacob wrestled with an angel all night long. He actually wrestled with God. But Jacob was in a place where he was running from his brother Esau because he had stolen the blessing. Jacob was a crook. He was called the heel catcher. He was always trying to deceive somebody. So he was running. He was in a place where he was running from his brother because his brother finally figured out where he was at and thought his brother was coming to kill him.
Right.
But an angel, God, came and appeared to him one night, and they just started wrestling and just kept wrestling all night long. And it got to the point to where I knew God was like, Jacob is not going to quit. He's going to constantly wrestle. So he touched like his thigh and knocked his socket out of place. And then God was like, let me go. He was like, I won't let you go until you bless me. And God immediately, restored him. And then he told him, you know what? Your name is no longer Jacob, which meant deceiver, heel catcher, and all of these bad things. He changed his name to Israel because he was a nation. He was that powerful. A lot of us have been wrestling these negative things all our life, and we won't let those things go.
It's true.
But in order to get your positive blessing, to get to the next level or be the person you're supposed to be and get yourself in position, you got to let those things go.
Yes.
So you got to get a positive outlook. Some of us are still holding on to bad relationships from high school, and you're like, man, such and such hurt me. You hadn't been with that person in years, but they hurt you 20 years ago,
right.
And you hadn't got over the fact that they hurt you, so you never see anything positive about a relationship. You think it's not for you. A lot of things are, they may not be for us at that particular time, but later down the line, God is probably going to give you a yes. But you'll never know about the yes until you start becoming positive about the no.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's
you need to write that down.
Trademark, man.
You need to write that down. Dude, I'll pick up my phone and I'll go in the notes and I'll write stuff. Yeah, you need to write that one down. That's great.
You got to be positive about that no that you got in the past. And I'm telling you, it may not be for you right now, but in positive thinking, you were like, okay, it's not right now. It's going to be somewhere down the line if it's God's will. Because I'm telling you, When I seen Transformers, that first Transformers,
Yeah.
when I seen Bumblebee as the Camaro, I said, God, that's my car. I got to have that car. I want that exact car. And I was like, well, credit won't allow it.
Credit won't allow it.
Finances will not allow it. And now I got my dream car. It's super bright green, but it's the Camaro that I want. I love my car. I don't know if my back is going to allow me to love my car for a long time, but
pretty small in there.
I love it. So the thing is, though, if I would have looked at that no and stayed within the realms of that no, I would have never got to my yes.
It's true.
Because we're so focused on the no, and the no hurt us, and the no beat us up, and the no discouraged us. But there's a yes at the end of the tunnel. We got to be more positive about how we see negative situations. Those negative situations are definitely going to bless us.
Do you remember the thing I posted the other day, and what you just said is very similar to it when I said saying no to yourself in the short term sometimes means saying yes to opportunities in the long term. It's very, very similar.
It's powerful.
To what you just said. And I follow a guy on social media, Eric Thomas, who's the #1 in the world right now as far as motivational speakers. The guy is on top of his game. If you don't know who Eric Thomas is, please look him up. He's not for everybody because he screams at you. Yeah. And he is kind of fire and brimstone. But the athletes love the guy right now. He's called Eric the Hip Hop Preacher on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I've seen him.
And he even did a parallel discussion about the Popeyes chicken sandwich and the churches, the Chick-fil-A. And he wasn't talking about the food. He was talking about thinking in a different way about your financial situation. And he was making the parallel of don't think like Popeyes, thinking about the now. Like, oh, I got money now, I gotta spend it. Think about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A says, you know what, we got chicken sandwiches for years. We think in years. Popeyes was thinking in days. And I was like, wow. Yeah. I was like, you took that in a place I had no idea that I could go. And he's right. So when you think about positive thinking like that, because, you know, we struggle with finances because the things that we're blessed at doing, the gifts that God has given us as our talents, we don't make a lot of money doing it. Exactly. You know? Exactly. And even doing this podcast, there's this narrative out there I'm finding people think we're making money.
Oh,
we haven't made a penny, guys. And that's
I wish you could see all these cables on the table.
Yeah.
And how we put this together.
When you're doing a podcast, #1, it's free to even listen to it.
Exactly.
And we have both put out money just to finance what we're doing.
Yes.
But you got to spend money to make money. But again, we're not even trying to make money at doing this. And you the other day said, I think God wants us to think big. We're thinking small. And I didn't disagree with you. We think in realism, because it is that self-preservation. Like, well, I gotta get groceries for my kids, so I don't want to think about buying this T-shirt or buying this new microphone. We have to literally micro-analyze every financial decision that we make.
Exactly.
So that in itself is depressing. And then the positive thing is to kind of say, whoa, guys, let's not get down on ourselves. We both have education. We got degrees. We've worked really hard, and so we wouldn't be here right now if we didn't have positive thinking skills.
Oh, yeah.
I almost quit college 3 times. When I tell students that, they go, I'm like, do you think I just woke up, trying to look nice every day, trying to look presentable, being a leader, graduating college? No, I worked for everything I got. There was nothing handed to me. Nothing was handed to you. And so it's that work ethic behind the scenes is, I need to get all the way down there, and I'm all the way back here. So what are the things I'm going to do in this near term to get me to the midterm so I can go from the midterm to the long term?
Exactly. And if you got to turn off the naysayers too. I can't tell you how many people told me I would never amount to anything. And I never believed them. That's the thing. I never believed them. A lot of folks will tell certain people things and they believe it. Like, if you know you're not this, you know you're not that, why keep it in your spirit?
Right.
You got to say, I know I'm not that person. I'm nothing like you say I am or thought I was. We got to learn that positive lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's a
It
challenge.
is. It is a lifestyle.
You have to. It challenges you every day.
Every
Because I sit back and I was like, man, I have 3 degrees and I'm not getting paid for any of them.
Nope.
I'm like, man, I made more money when I didn't have a degree. So obviously, I gotta love what I'm doing to just be doing that.
That's a great point.
And a lot of folks take it as like, oh man, you just balling, you're just doing this, and you're just doing that. And then, you know, it goes back to the book I'm writing, and people don't realize God never allows you to look like what you're going through.
Right.
So people always have a misconception. They be like, man, Time they are balling, man. They got the podcast.
It's hilarious.
They got these mics up. They got these Macs and the Apple iPads. They got everything. But no, God never allows us to look like what we're going through. Because I said yesterday in my video, and if you get a chance to check it out, I was talking about how God wants the kingdom of God to be attractive.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people make the kingdom of God such a negative thing. Because you think about it. If I wasn't a Christian, if I didn't believe in God, and I hate to get biblical on folks, but
no, you don't. You love it.
but a lot of folks like, you're too preachy. But if I didn't believe in God, I wasn't a Christian, and Dave is a Christian. Dave is fire and brimstone. He's the man that he's always talking about God. He's on fire for God.
Right.
But every Monday morning, Dave comes to work and say, man, I hate Mondays. Oh man, my life sucks. I got my mortgage. I'm 3 months behind. My wife is getting on my nerves. My kids are bad. Stupid car is broke. That is not attracting to me to say, you know what, I want to go to church with you, Dave.
Right.
I think your church is pretty awesome. Everybody's broke.
Right.
But a lot of people don't realize that they are the only Bible or the only God that somebody is going to see.
Right.
And when you go up in there with these negative thoughts and not have positive thoughts about life or anything, that'll turn people away. Because if I'm over here and I'm Ty Steele and I'm already rich, I'm doing good in life, and my wife is good, kids are good, job is great, and here you a Christian and everything is bad, I don't want to be a part of that.
Exactly. That's a
So
great
it's
example.
all about positive thinking and how you present yourself. So if you want people to be positive, I think you got to start being positive yourself. And it might annoy some people at first, like you said, why are you writing this on the board?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually that positivity will just take over the workplace.
Well, and that's the hope, you know, and again, that's where the work ethic comes in, and there's one of those, it looks like a dice, there's a block that I have at my desk at work every day. It says work hard.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people would go, okay, work hard. Well, when I see that, that means that's everything I do in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I self-motivate every single day. I'm a self-starter. I was like that in school. I didn't have anybody over my shoulder saying, you better get your work done every single day before you play basketball. Mm-hmm. No, it was, you know, number one, respect to my mom. She'd say, look, because I was a latchkey kid. I had a key to get in the house. She was working late.
Mm-hmm.
I came in. She's like, hey, look, all I ask is every day before you get on the basketball court, you get your studies done. Yes, ma'am. Did it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't perfect, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but it was a contract between she and I. Respect. I did what I was supposed to do. Work hard.
Yeah.
I was a student athlete. Student came first before athlete.
Yeah.
When the studies were done, I'd go outside and ball out for the next 4 hours, training for what I wanted my future to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't work out. I didn't end up being a player. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my journey. So when my journey took a detour, and let me tell you, it took a lot of detours.
Yeah.
Because at first it was, oh, I'm going to be a professional athlete. Then it was, no, I'm going to be a physical therapy guy. No. Then it was, I'm going to be a writer.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're going to go into PR. I mean, dude, if there were detour signs for life, these roads out here would be littered with them, because everybody on every block in America didn't get to do what they set out they were going to do.
Oh yeah.
And so in all of us, there's that ability to pick yourselves up and to say, either we're going to do this
Mm-hmm.
or we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm hoping is that people start picking, yeah, we're going to do this part. The doubt's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't take anybody that has any talent at all to do the easy.
Exactly.
And that's why I've really picked up that line, choose the harder right and the easier wrong. Because, dude, everybody can do the easier wrong. where you're not putting any effort, but you're still getting the same benefits of the things that I'm giving towards you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping you have a greater quality of life because of me paying my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But you're sitting over there and you're doing pretty well. You're not putting in the work and the time. You're choosing the easier wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting to do the same things that I'm doing, and I'm choosing the harder right.
Oh yeah. You said something that was very interesting though. You was motivated to do it. I find out now a lot of kids are not motivated to do a lot of things. And the main thing is because they're given everything.
Yes.
Everything is given at an early age. The world is at their fingertips. I used to have to dream about how other countries look. Now I can just go Google how other countries look. Mm-hmm. Now I can hop on social media and pretend to be anybody I want to be.
That's right.
Without actually being that person, having to really put work in. Everything is given. So it's hard to motivate a lot of kids in this new generation. A lot of kids that don't have a lot though, I find them at school, they are really motivated. But the problem is they can't see past what's going on right now. They're staying in from house to house, or their living condition is not the best thing in the world. So all they see is what's going on around them right now. And they're not able to get past that because they're so focused on the right now. And the right now will kill you. The right now can destroy you. And it's hard. I know it's hard for a lot of them. I talk to them every day like, man, just continue to be positive. Mm-hmm. Continue to just think. Continue to keep trying and keep applying. And then, you know, a lot of times they'll take the easier way out. I can go make this quick money over here if I
always
do this.
Always.
And it's hard to bring a kid back once you say, man, I just made $1,000 in 1 hour, and you want me to go work 40 hours a week and only bring home $300 an hour.
Yep.
I mean, $300 a paycheck. $1,000 an hour or $300, it doesn't even compare. But the thing is, you know, money that you earn quick don't last long.
Nope.
Money that we go out here and we work and we sacrifice for, that money is going to stay there. You're like, listen, I earn every penny and I'm going to count it to the T. I'm not going to spend it like that. I'm not going to just blow it. But fast money, you know, you're like, oh, I can make it fast. I'll make it back. I'll make it back. And you never save. And then you find yourself always stuck up in the game. And then by the time you do realize, like, hey, man, I need to do something else. There should be no reason. I was talking to a guy the other day. This guy's 40 years old, never had a job. But he has like a couple kids. But if anything ever happens to him, what is his kids going to get?
Right.
I mean, I take my pride on my Social Security. Like, I check it quarterly. Anything ever happens to me, this is what my family gets. Mm-hmm. And this is what that person gets, and that person gets. And I constantly check those things. But as a man, I don't understand how you're this old, never had a job before.
I don't know. I can't comprehend that. I'm not wired like that. I wanted to bring up one more example, and you put it in my head because you're talking about motivation, and this is something that the young men and women can please listen to. And I think I told this story maybe a couple times as a teacher. I didn't tell it enough. And again, this is not one of those rah-rah moments. It's a work ethic thing that if you really want something in your life, you have got to diagnose it first and see it, and then you have to go after it. So here I was, a very average basketball player in high school. I wasn't even playing my best yet, and that's why after I graduated. But I wanted the world because I envisioned myself that that's what I was going to do. I was a huge Lakers fan, huge Magic Johnson fan, loved him, and so I trained every day. Mm-hmm. And then it came to be, well, I wasn't getting any letters, wasn't getting recruited. Well, I said, well, I gotta make a highlight tape. Unfortunately, being an average basketball player, I wasn't on tape that much. And I'm talking tape, dude, you know, back in VHS tape days, right? Again, kids don't know about that now. So this goes into the work ethic part. So I said, well, how am I gonna do this? So I would go and scarf my food down at lunch and run to the media center in the library. And I went to go ask the library director, I can't remember his name now, it really upsets me because he helped me. I said, please just tell me how to work the editing machine and I'll take it from here. Mm-hmm. So he showed me in about a 10-minute session. And then I went to my head coach, who I had a horrible relationship with. Horrible. And so it took a lot of, I had to get over the anxiety of saying, okay, coach, I need my game tape.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a wisecrack at me saying, well, you ain't got a heck of a idea for it.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, thanks, coach, but I'm trying to help myself out. I need to make a tape. So I know you're not going to help me, but I'm going to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, this is me being vulnerable because my highlight tape was 3.5 minutes long. 3.5 minutes out of all of the thousands of minutes that I put into training.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 3.5 minute tape. It's sitting in my closet. And it's a point of pride that I do look at sometimes. I use motivational tools.
Yeah.
And I look at that once in a while. I've got clothes that have piled up on it, but I'll go up there if I need a little bit more juice that day. I'll move the clothes and I'll see, because I typed the label on there, David Ford highlight tape, because I sent it out to about 3 different coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what it took to go through that. Nobody else can appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew what it took loading up the music behind it. 95 South, by the way, is on the back of it. So, you know, I loaded up the music behind it. I'm the one that was stopping the tape and making it mesh and editing it all the way down. And even to this day, I still get giddy when I think about it, because I remember the road that it took to get there. And even though the road didn't take me anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
I did get a couple tryouts, and that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I asked for. And do kids know how to do that now? Heck no, they don't know how to do that now. And I'm not trying to be mean towards them, but it's a fact of, and you and I are responsible. We're complicit in that lack of knowledge in ways, because we want our kids to have things that we didn't have.
Oh, yeah.
We want to give them advantages that we didn't have. But in doing that, we're also cheating them
Mm-hmm.
on giving them that self-starter experience.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to tell you that if you really want something in life, you've got to put everything on the line. You've got to work for it. And even if it doesn't work out, so what?
Oh, yeah.
At least you put your best shot in.
Exactly.
And I can say I did.
I like it. I definitely like it. I like it. That is pretty neat.
I took my shot.
All the hours, you said you only got 3 minutes. And a lot of times it's all it takes. And now we got Huddle and we have all these other great tools. And I watched one particular football player. I was like, now, I know he didn't play this long, but his highlight is like 9 minutes long. And you can take the same play, reverse it, add it back in here.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things they can do now with editing. It's just great.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's why a lot of coaches now are asking for full games whenever you set off highlight film. So like,
Right.
you can see a full game with this kid right here.
Yeah.
But it's you're right. We give them so much. We give them a self-starter kit, and we're like, hey, this is the formula. This is how you do it, and make sure you do it this way. And then we watch over their shoulder to make sure they get it right. And it's okay sometimes to let your kids. So I know my daughter, like, training her to ride a bicycle. In fact, we're still training my daughter to ride a bicycle. Listen, I love my baby to death, but she just refuses to just let go. She's like, So I don't know how old she's going to be when she gets.
That's funny.
But, you know, in ways, I'm scared to let her fall.
Sure, you're
and even when it comes to sport, like, I push her so hard. Like, if you want a good word, you're not gonna get that good word from Dad.
Which is why you like me coaching her in the first place.
Yeah, you gotta coach my kid. I will be harder on her. So, but she can hear me from the stands yelling anyway. And I was like, does that embarrass you? She was like, no, I know you're there, but you know, sometimes this.
Yeah.
And she was just trying to be nice, but I just go all in with it because I know what it takes to get there. And I feel like, okay, I've given you so much. But in order to be who you want to be, this is what it's going to take. You don't have to be grinding. You don't have to get down and dirty. I was like, you know what? Maybe we just need to move and go stay in the projects I stayed in as a kid. I need to motivate y'all because I was motivated coming from that situation. Sure. And they was like, ew, this is nasty. That's horrible. I was like, listen, I was cooking hot dogs for me and my sister at a young age, and she was a baby, and that's all another story. I shouldn't have been watching her, but I was.
Right.
I was cooking hot dogs. Roaches would fall in the pots. It was roaches all over in that place.
Wow.
You scoop that roach out and pour it in the sink and wash the hot dog off and eat it. And people was like, oh my God, it was gross. But listen, there was no more hot dogs left.
Right.
So what are you going to do when it's your last one? I had a survival mentality about me. And I decided, I was like, listen, I don't want this when I become an adult. I don't want it.
Amen.
So with all these negative things around me, I see positive. My positive thing is I'm not coming back. But
Right.
now I feel like I need to go back so they can learn how I learned. But I was like, it messes me up because I've given them so much. And I'm like, I'm worried about your survival mode. If I put you out in this world right now by yourself, will you be able to survive? And I think every parent asks themselves that question. But it's different for millennials. I don't know.
It is.
It is totally different for for the millennials.
It is.
They are smart. They're well educated. I don't think they're going to work very hard because I think they know how to make money.
They work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. So when we were in the factories, they're going to have robots or some machines running that factory.
They will.
They will create it.
They will, and I just hope they can take care of us when we get older.
I told my daughter I better have a bed in her living room.
I'll tell you what.
Put me in a nursing home. This is that one on the beach. They got everything there. Pool, everything, jacuzzi, hot tub. I was like, I'll go there. Just pay for it.
There's always hope, man. There's always hope. And you know, Demi and I had that conversation on a number of occasions, and I looked at her, I said, look, you know, I think we need to stop comparing ourselves to our kids and them to us. And she's like, why? I said, I'll tell you why. It's because of the fact that they can't be us.
Exactly.
They don't come from the time that we did.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come from the lack of technology days that we had. They don't have the imagination that we had.
Yeah.
We dreamed bigger.
Yeah.
Because we could.
Yeah.
How can you dream big now when everything big is staring you right in the face?
Mm-hmm.
I would tell my sixth graders last year, I'm like, you guys are the first generation. When you were babies, you were born into this world with your fingers attached to digital HD hookups.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what do you mean? I said, visualize. I said, close your eyes for a minute and visualize your fingers going into HD hookups. This is you all in the global world that there's nothing you can't touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, look, when I was coming up, sixth grade, your age, 12 years old, take everything that you have right now
Mm-hmm.
and erase it.
Mm-hmm.
That was my world. That was my generation's world. We had huge boulder computers that moved as slow as a 95-year-old lady on a cane.
And all of it was green. There was no color. It was all just green.
Oh, the Oregon Trail was the coolest game of CD-ROM that you could have, right? And we sound so old when we talk about that, but there's pride in that. Yeah, I think we both showed the Oregon Trail to our students last year, and they loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. They loved the 8-bit tech, and oh my gosh, we have to make a decision to go over a creek? Well, yeah, because in the pioneer days, if you didn't have the right wheels on your stagecoach, you might die. So you better think about your next move. You know, it is so comical, but so scary sometimes. Like you said, releasing these kids out into the world, you want to be like, are you going to make it? Because I'm going to be holding on tight.
Go back to childbirth. When we were babies, I think we got smacked on our bottom. They made us cry and everything.
Yes, absolutely.
And they pull the baby out and they suction everything out. Here you go, mama.
Yeah. No big deal. No big deal.
Smarter, not harder, man.
Smarter, not harder. And yeah, and I even said that to a guy at a gas station a couple months ago. He's like, hey, don't work too hard today. I said, hey, smarter, not harder. He's like, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't even believe when I say it. I always work harder and I don't work smarter. I do things the hard way. You know, I do. I'm a person who's always done things the hard way because I learned not to screw up again.
Oh yeah.
And some of y'all parents out there may think I'm mean when I get ready to say this, but I took one of my boys on the shoulders the other day, right here. I looked him in the face with a smirk, and I said, "Stop screwing up."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yes, sir." I said, "No, I mean it. Stop screwing up."
Yeah.
And he knew exactly what I meant.
Wow.
And a lot of people don't like parenting like that because why would you say that to your son? Well, number one, me and him have an understanding because I've done the work. I think as parents, if you've done the work, if you've invested in your kid, the hard times and the good, and even the gray area, then you and that kid have a bond that is never going to die. Exactly. And you can be harsh with them. And in those moments when they're beaten down, you're the first one to put your arm around their neck and say, I got you. Yeah. And we have that. And I take pride in that. So he understood in that moment when 10 people could be around going, oh my gosh, he knew what I meant. And I said it. I didn't say it in a mean way. said, stop screwing up.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And we move on. And if we have to have discussion again, that's fine. But that's a part of the work ethic that goes behind positive thinking. I started on him 7 and 8 years ago. It's not like I went in his room yesterday and said, stop being a baby, let's be positive. I have put in the work every day, all day, over the phone, over text, in person, working out, help building his body and his mind. And that is the work ethic that it takes for all of us, whether we're a kid, whether we're a young adult, whether we are a grown man or woman. If you put in the work, I promise you, positive thinking will happen. And we've put in work for years. And like I just said on this show earlier, 2 months ago was when it finally paid off for me. 2 months ago. It just happened.
Yeah.
So it's taken me this long as a 43-year-old man to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's powerful stuff.
I love it. I love it. If I could say this, I know we gotta go.
Well, you gotta go. You got a radio. Talk about that real quick before you make your final point. You gotta get your plug in because it's also a plug for us.
I will be doing a radio interview today. I'll find my little notes here.
I love it.
I'm just gonna, I'll post it whenever it gets done.
Yeah, please do that.
She has like an internet radio show, and I used to go to school with her back in the day, so it's gonna be an interesting show. She wants to know about my life, how I overcame things, and we're definitely gonna be talking about that. It's kind of weird sometimes talking about me because I feel like this book is gonna explain everything. I just need to finish this book. Goodness.
Yeah, and yours truly needs to be editing it. You need to be sending me stuff.
Yeah, I need to finish this book really, really quickly. But the book is definitely called "I Don't Look Like What I've Been Through." But to a lot of people, my story is fascinating. I told you we sat in a meeting at the college the other day, and we talked about children and domestic violence and how do we handle those children in domestic violence situations. And you have to tread lightly when you're talking to these kids because about 82% of them fail in life.
Right.
And I was just sitting there in my seat and I was just stuck like, wow, this is amazing. And to hear folks tell you all the time, like, man, your story is amazing. I'm like, I don't see it that way. You know, I just overcame. But just to see those numbers up there, I was like, dang, maybe I did come from like a special situation. Maybe there is something behind this. Just to hear that kids my age, I mean, not my age, but kids that went through what I've been through, they don't make it. They don't have a positive outcome for it.
You're a rarity.
And that right there just blew my mind. And all I could say was, God, I thank you because you kept me. So I'll be doing that interview. One of my other good friends, a football coach, does a little article for a newspaper. He wants me to write an article for the newspaper.
Cool. Just
about anything I want to write. So this show is doing what I thought it would do. I know I wanted to take it off more, but everything happens at a certain rate of speed. So we are positive, upbeat about it. Like I said, we're not making any money off of this.
And won't for a very long time.
We are doing this mainly, I know I miss my students, and these are the conversations I have with my students every day. I don't know about you. So some of the stuff we talk about is some of the same conversations I have.
Absolutely.
So this platform is going to give us other platforms, and then I can't wait till we do that. We just host that night where we speak to all the athletes, all the students.
I can't tell you how excited I am about that.
I mean, I pray that we can make it as big as possible. Have food, have games, have everything. I want so much for the kids in Bay County, and just the kids all around the world. I want them to have better than I ever had. So that's the main premise of why I'm doing this show, is to give back what my grandmother gave me.
I love it. Amen. You know, and even though we're not in the classroom anymore, I can say it's been so rewarding going to football games, even, you know, announcing last night, running into students.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Mr. Ford. Hi, Mr. Ford. That really hits me in a way that I never saw myself being. I never envisioned myself being a teacher. That was not a goal.
Yeah, mine either.
It was not a goal of mine. That was a journey that I think that God said, you know what, I'm going to put you here, even though it's uncomfortable for you. And I believe being in uncomfortable situations to be successful. I think we do need to sometimes listen to Him and trust Him, but other times we need to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations to overcome.
Yeah.
And that's part of the work ethic again. But long story short, just seeing the outcomes of the things that we did talk about in our classrooms every day is so awesome to know that we did it right. Yeah, we did it the right way. We did it our way. And actually, Miss Duncan, shout out to Miss Duncan, ran into her yesterday. And I just want to tell you, if you're watching, what you said to me meant so much. She's number one. She said, "I'm so upset that you're not here anymore." She said it with a smile on her face, but she said, "I have your students now, and they know everything that we're talking about." And she's like, "You were Ford's kids, so you did a great job."
Oh yeah.
And I know that you did the same thing. And there are moments where I miss being in the fire in the classroom. But I also know, I'm like, you know what? I did the best that I could in the situation that we were given, and we did have some support, and I really think that we made the best of our platform. We were leaders, and again, that's why we do this show now. It's an extension of the classroom.
Exactly.
It's a virtual classroom that we don't have to miss our kids. They can see us anytime they want to, and that's what's beautiful about this.
Exactly. I love them. I miss you guys.
Absolutely. Joey Ramey came in here earlier, and I was like, Joey, he made a sack last night.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Joey's a beast.
I love him. He follows us all the time on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, he just came up on mine. Joey's a straight beast.
And Mav was watching us earlier again. We'd love to go through name by name. Thank you, everybody who chimed in and followed us throughout today. We really, really, from the bottom of our hearts, appreciate all of the growing support, and it is growing daily. So thank you so much for investing your time into us, because your time is important, just like ours is. And we have no idea what we talk about on a week-to-week basis. We kind of just make it up when Monday or Tuesday comes around. So if you have any ideas that are on your heart that you think are important, we're always there. This is your show.
Yes.
It's not about us. It's your show. We just try to get the message out there and to help lead. You got anything else, man? Because I know you got a scoop.
That's it. If you guys do have any thoughts or anything you want to talk about, if you don't want to put it out there, you can message us, inbox us, do whatever. Get that message out. It might be something we hadn't thought about that needs to be talked about, and we don't mind discussing it. Like I told the church congregation last. I'm an open book. I'm transparent.
Transparent. That's the only way to do it, man.
You can see through me. So whatever you need, whatever you want to discuss, it's not off topic. We're ready to get it.
Well, let's bring it to a close. Hey, for Ty Steele, I'm Dave Ford. This has been episode 7 of the J.O.B. podcast. Keep all the love coming. Thank you so much. Peace, love. God bless.